Hey guys, welcome to Don't Freak Out Friday. I know it says Don't Worry Wednesday on the other screen, but obviously it's wrong because it's
Yeah,
not.
because it's not Wednesday anywhere anymore.
Yeah, not even on Pluto at this moment. Um,
Do they have
'Cause it,
Wednesday on Pluto?
yeah, they have Wednesday. It just turned Friday though, so it goes
Oh,
quick. It's gonna be Wednesday in a couple more minutes. It goes fast. They have fast
yeah,
days over there.
fast. It's a
Yeah,
fast day,
mm-hmm. Yeah, they're about 17 seconds long each one. But
but very
anyways.
long years though.
Oh yeah, their years are 7,426 days long, specifically. Um, I've memorized that, and if I'm trying to say that again, I'm gonna have to replay what I just said because I don't remember the number I used. Um, are we? Oh, are we? Well, that's all right. Here, you
I
know what?
am I am Static P, and I am not the host.
And I am Static P, and we would both, as Static P, like to welcome you to Don't Freak Out Friday. Don't freak out. We're both in our right places now. Friday.
Or as Rack Attack has just freakity frackety friggity frackety frackety Friday.
That's not even. That's just like F F F F F. Welcome to Friday. Um,
Rack Attack Ryan has not had facial hair since today, as far as I know.
that's right. I just shaved it before this event. I figured, hey, it's a Friday, special occasion. Let's put on all the makeup, and by that I mean just take off my beard.
Yeah.
So anyways, you guys know the drill. This is Don't Worry Wednesday, essentially. Basically, just leave your comments, whatever you're going through right now, whatever situations you have in life that you're maybe a little bit worried about or just got on your mind, wanting some advice about. We're here for you. We're not professionals, but we're gonna do our best to at least talk about the issues and hopefully clear your mind and give you the inspiration to go at it and figure it out. Um, Vimini, I have heard very little about you, but from what I have heard, you are an amazing person and a big sweetheart. So, hey, welcome to the community. I don't know how long you've been here, but recently I've been brought to your attention. My attention's been brought to you. Hey, Jess, no, Joe, no. I mean, Static P, what are you doing?
Did I do it? Did I switch it?
Oh, shit.
Ah,
Didn't?
no,
Oh,
Ryan's
snap.
got to do it.
Oh,
As
snap.
as always, our illustrious producer is Jesse B. He's he's giving us messages in the background saying, "Hey, you guys are in the wrong spots on the thing." Yeah, so
Yeah.
Ryan's gonna keep it that way apparently.
We hear voices in our head. Yes. Simultaneously. Um, I know how to
just yeah,
change.
just stop your video and start it again. That's
Yeah, but did you fix it? Or but
no,
is it wrong right now? Is it wrong right now?
it's still incorrect.
It's
You're still
incorrect.
on. Apparently, you're still on the bottom.
Oh, okay. Well, let's try it again.
Now I'm looking at you.
Did it fix that time? I did. Oh, how about now? Okay, there you go.
Ta-da!
Oh, okay, good. Just do whatever you want, Jesse. Just mess with us, take us and like move us around the screen awkwardly the entire video so that everyone can't pay attention to a word we say.
Wow. Wow. Welcome to Friday. It's amazing. And thank you guys. Yeah, every single one of us missed the Wednesday stream.
Yeah, all of us.
I apologize. There was a medical emergency in my family, so I was unavailable to be there. So we said, hey, you know what? We did this recently on the when 4th of July was on a Wednesday.
That's
It's
right.
Independence Day here in the United States, and so we pushed it to the Friday, and we actually had a really tremendous audience on a Friday. We're like,
That's
we
true.
ought to do these on Fridays.
Yeah, every once in a while we do this on a Friday and we get a pretty great turnout. I've always been surprised.
Mm-hmm.
Tev, how's it going, man? Tef wants to turn me and you into fish somehow.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
but unfortunately, if you did that, neither of us have any nearby water to drown ourselves in. So,
There's a
um,
drainage ditch out back.
oh, is there? Okay, well
Yeah.
then,
I
perfect.
could I could just sit in there.
Just go flippity flop your way up the stairs and then into the backyard and figure that one out.
Uh,
So anyways, okay, so we do have something from Lay. Now, of course, we also have some stuff that we got last stream that we can discuss as well. And if you don't mind, everyone, I'm going to go to the Black Static and Swerve website, which is bss.studio.
yes.
Plug. And I'm gonna look at what those were last week and ask if anybody is around that was around last week. Because if you are, then we will see if we can get to those questions now. And Lay, we will definitely get to your question as well. Thank you for posting it and for being awesome.
Yes, Vimini has a point. Wednesday is a bit unique. Friday might be more popular because it is the end of the week.
Mm-hmm.
You
That
know,
rhymes.
and we've got So
yeah,
we'll have to talk about maybe
yeah, we'll have to talk about it, but maybe some days we should do Fridays.
Yeah, and we've already got people coming up with names for it. Fan favorite Fishy Friday, Flippity Flap Friday, Freckity Frackity Frickety Frackety Friday.
That's great.
Yeah, this is so we got all kinds of names we could use now.
Don't forget your Flip Flop Friday. Because one flip flop won't do.
And apparently our screens were flip flopped already.
That's true. That's right.
We had the Flippity Flop Friday.
This is a great Friday already. This is just great.
It's amazing.
Everything's perfectly incorrect, but it's perfect. So okay, do we have Chris Chu with us today? Chris Chu, calling to the office. Chris Chu, your parents are waiting. No, I'm just kidding. Chris Chu. No, okay. So I don't know if Chris Chu is here, but I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right. Chiu. I'm not sure. Did we get to this one? Rosie's. Let's see. So basically,
there's Chris Chu's, there's Rosie's, and then there's this one we didn't get to also, who's Tef. Tef's here.
Tef is here. That's right. This is definitely one that we didn't get to. I remember this one. So, Tef, you had this question. I'm wondering how they're doing. Also, Red Fire, hey, welcome. Nice to see you. And I have a question for you real quick, Red Fire. Are you the one that suggested the fish are drowning? Or was it the vampire song? I can't remember. I know that their name was Fire, and I'm wondering if it's the same person that attended my stream a really long time ago and suggested that as the song. Either way, anyways. So Tef's question was this. My friend had a company that went bankrupt 3 weeks ago. 4 weeks ago now. How can I best support her?
Yes.
My friend had a company that went bankrupt 4 weeks ago. How can I best support her? How is she doing now, Tef, if you don't mind me asking? And did you figure out anything that you can do for her? Oh, okay. Redfire says, nope, it wasn't the same person. And that's totally cool. I remember Redfire is the one that gives thousands of hearts. So you're awesome. Thanks, Redfire. Thanks for all the love. But anyways, so yeah, give us some updates on that, Tef, if you have any. And
yeah.
Also, what do you think that what do you think you would do in this kind of situation, Joe?
Well, while we're waiting for some update, longer update on the way. Good, thank you, Tef.
Thank you,
Tef. While you're updating, I guess I remember seeing this question come across last week, and I was like, ooh,
yeah,
that's a really good question. Because I've been in positions dealing with people myself, having businesses that have failed, all these kinds of different things. It's really tough to gauge. I mean, you gotta look at how your friend is dealing with it, because sometimes, I mean, I was just listening today to a podcast by Robert Kiyosaki. He's the Rich Dad Poor Dad author, and he talks business stuff all the time. And he actually, it's it's kind of interesting when people have been seasoned in business a while. They've generally been through a few bankruptcies and they've been through a few different failures, and they're like, it just took us a while to get going, you know.
Hmm.
And he was encouraging this person. This person had written into his show and said, I'm dealing with a partner who actually turned out to be a bad business partner.
Ah,
And so now we've lost a whole lot of money, and I don't want to take out more lines of credit if I have to, and how much should
right.
I put my personal finances into my business before I just cut it out and all this kind of stuff. And he said, look, sometimes in situations like this, the best thing you can do is talk to an accountant and a bankruptcy attorney, and figure out what your options are as far as that goes, because it's not the end of the world to file bankruptcy. Large companies do it all the time. Sometimes you do it to protect your assets. I mean, it just kind of happens. But if she's looking at, or if he or she, your friend, is looking at this, how can I best support her? If
Hmm.
she's looking at this as a failure and down about it, one of the best things you can do is offer some encouragement, obviously support, and do whatever you can to help her feel like, this is just a bump in the road. So many business owners go through this, like
Hmm.
tons of them, and a lot of times being successful. I remember hearing it said Henry Ford, the founder of Ford Motor Company, went bankrupt 5 times on his way to success with
Wow.
Ford Motor Company. That was just on his way to getting started. So, okay,
Mm.
update from Tef. She got better and started to speak with all the workers and the new owner. She looked at her possibility and knew she is no longer the owner, but have become the director of the place. Okay, so that's good. So that apparently there's a new owner. Somebody, maybe she sold to somebody, or somebody acquired her business, and that happens too. And
Hmm.
um, wow, but man, it's just a bump in the road. Failure is not that big of a deal. I mean, we kind of get taught that in school. We kind of learn through our school. I remember when I was going through high school, how failing at something was just this huge detrimental, like, wrong. And if you failed, man, then you might as well just quit. And it's like, no, stop. Just failure is part of success. It's
Hmm.
totally okay. And you just, if you can pick yourself up and be like, all right, what's next? We went through this, chalk it up to some experience. I'm going to be this much stronger. I'm going to learn my lessons, and I'm going to move forward. And absolutely, bankruptcy in a lot of cases is just the beginning of a great success story. So, Ryan, what would you have to say?
I think you are a lot more experienced in all of this than I am. I don't pay a whole lot of attention to finances.
Mm.
Um, I think, you know, I have my financial understandings, and I'm very, my outlook is very different than most people. I'll definitely say that about myself. Um, but yeah, I'm definitely not a financial advisor, or I know a whole lot about it. But I think exactly what you said is extremely important, and that is to let her know that it's not the end, and that this is, just part of an experience, part of the journey. And one failure or one situation where it's like you had to give up, you had to go bankrupt or whatever, um, doesn't mean the rest of your life is over. And congratulate her on what you can, um, because what she went through is not easy.
Mm.
Having to file for bankruptcy and go through that is a process, that I think deserves respect. Um, it's not necessarily, I'm not saying that bankruptcy is a good thing that everybody should do it.
No,
Um,
no,
oh,
no, for
it's
sure.
usually a last resort thing, but having to be put in that position where you have to take the last resort measure is is rough. It's hard, and it's not something that you're like, yeah, good job doing it, but it's something that you can say, I commend you. I respect you, and I commend you for going through what you went through, for doing what you believed was the right thing, and you had to do essentially because you had no
Mhm.
other choice. Um, so be just let her know that you respect her, and especially for giving for trying to run the business and everything like that, and let her know that she should continue trying. I mean, just like Joe said, there are so many success stories that start out with you know just everything being lost. He was talking about Robert Kiyosaki, and I mean, that guy had a situation where he lost everything.
Mm.
Literally, him and his wife, I'm not sure if he had kids at the time, but were living, I think so, were living in his car. And you can imagine the wife was not happy about that. Living in a vehicle, living in a car, living out of a car, I should say. All their food is there, and that's where they sleep. And then the rest of the day, he was out looking for jobs and stuff like that. And now Robert Kiyosaki is one of the top financial directors in the world,
Yeah.
and has um, millions upon millions, I'm sure. Very,
He
very.
was he was a billionaire. I actually found this
Oh,
out recently.
he
He
was a
was
billion.
he was a billionaire because he owned a gold mine in China.
Wow.
But then when that gold mine became successful enough, the Chinese government basically said, "Thank you for finding this gold. We will take it from here." And so at that point, they were no longer billionaires.
You know what? Robert Kiyosaki has to stay out of China because that is his downfall. Remember the wallet? The wallet,
Yeah, the surfer wallet.
the surfer wallet? Right.
Yeah.
That was his original claim to success, was the surfer wallet. And then someone in China just copied it and started selling it for cheaper, and then he lost his business.
Hmm.
Man, he needs to stay away from China. No, I'm just kidding. But anyways, yeah, I mean, that's just how life is. And yeah, you learn from your mistakes, you get better, you grow. And so, yeah, everything Joe said, um, just support her the best you can with your words. And, um, sometimes people get in a situation where they don't have a place to live anymore. If worst case comes out, um, and so to be there and be able to say, hey, like, we don't have space here, but you can come and stay,
Hmm.
like, your house is open to me. Being open to that kind of thing, um, being supportive like that, um, helping them out with food, even though if you don't, you might not have much, but hey, it doesn't hurt to be able to share a meal with somebody. Um, Especially if you guys can work on it together, pay half and half, whatever it is.
Sure.
Um,
Now it
but
looks like now Tef has some updates here. Did you see that, Ryan?
yeah,
You on
yeah.
here?
So let me read through them.
Okay.
So
I can read
okay,
them if you want.
okay. I got the first one. The second update is this: my friend has also been, or sorry, also being been securing herself two backup jobs. Oh, okay, I got you. She has also started to pull herself up in the hair to become a better oneself as a director. Okay, she called me last Friday and told me, okay, so she's doing a lot better, that's for sure.
Hmm.
Everything, and she has now come with the best outcome of the worst case. Okay, got you.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's doing her best to make the best out of what she has, and that's great. Um, and I'm glad that she still has a position, and she's making it work. And yeah, just let her know she's not a failure. That's just, you do fail in life, but that doesn't mean that you've failed everything, and that you can't get back up on your feet. And it sounds like she's already doing that. So
Hmm.
that's great.
And that doesn't mean to stop trying that. I mean, you might have to
Yep.
readjust, you might have to reset yourself, but, I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean, that she should not continue trying to be an entrepreneur because quite frankly, that's where a lot of the success lies, but it's also, your safety net. You don't really have one. And so you're open to failure. And it can
Yep.
be super exciting, super frustrating, and all of these things, all of it, it's like life 2.0, you know,
Yeah.
like nailing you, all kinds of emotions and heightened senses and everything. But truly, I mean, when you've got friends, and if there are friends and family, or one or the other or both, around you,
Hmm.
and if you have food to eat and a place to sleep, you know, then you're doing okay,
Hmm. That's
you
right.
know, and you can always, I remember hearing a quote or I actually read this in a book. I think it was a fictional book, but it was full of great life principles. And I remember this gentleman was talking to another person. He said, "Yeah, so you've lost everything. Well, I've lost everything I had a few times. It's the best place to start."
Mm.
And they're like, yeah,
Yep.
because the person at the bottom doesn't have to fear falling any farther.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, what can you lose?
Right? Yeah.
You only have the world to gain. So you just go at it. Yeah.
Yep. It's awesome.
That's true. So yeah, I hope that helps. And yeah, I'm really happy to see that she's already well on her way to a good recovery through all of that um, situation. I can imagine how depressing that could be. But sounds like she's making the best of it, so I'm glad.
Mhm.
So then we have Rosie is here now. So hey Rosie, how's it going?
Hi,
You asked a
Rosie.
question last week, and we're gonna touch it if that's okay with you. Your question was this. So basically, I want to be the type of person that is nice to everyone and tries to help as much as I can. But recently, I've been picking favorites, even if I know these people aren't doing what is right. And that was your worry. Um, that's what you put forth last week. And so, yeah, we're gonna do our best to address that. And wait, oh, you're saying wait because wanted to point out that I shaped. Got it. So yeah, Joe, what would you have to say about all of that?
I just posted Rosie's question.
Perfect.
Um,
Hey, Joseph.
what,
You
Mr. Bohan?
Bohan. Yeah, Mr. Bohan. Bowen or Bohan? Bohan.
Welcome. Yes.
I don't know.
So
Spoken.
okay, so Rosie, basically, you want to be the type of person that's nice to everyone and help as much as you can, but you pick favorites. I understand.
Hmm.
We all kind of pick favorites from time to time. I mean, it's very tough to help. You know, I mean, when someone responds a certain way, and you automatically start kind of giving to them a little bit more because they're responding in a way that is, you know, like you can help them even more then, you know, because they're actually being responsive to your help. Sometimes you try and help somebody and they just are unwilling to accept the help. And then how do you go further from there? I mean, you can't, it's kind of rude to try and force help upon somebody that doesn't want it, you know? I mean, we can
Hmm.
try, it's very frustrating for us, and it's kind of frustrating for them too. Sometimes people just want to be left alone
Yeah, that's true.
for the time being. So, um, but yeah, being nice to everyone, you always can be nice to everyone. And sometimes you need to be nice to somebody at a distance. There are times I've got two sons, and I recently saw this played out, you know, where we're dealing with one of my sons is like very close and clingy at some point in time, and then my other son is angry at me, doesn't want to talk to me. And sometimes I've learned I just need to leave him alone,
Hmm.
you know? And it's not that I love him any less. It's not that I'm not trying to be nice to him. I just know I need to give him some space, and then eventually he'll come back, you know? But you can always still be nice. And it can seem like you're picking favorites if you spend time with the people who respond favorably to you. But you may not necessarily be doing that. It may just be that you're offering help and the people who respond are getting more of your time, and that's a natural thing. But the people who are rejecting your help, then obviously, they just don't want it. So sometimes the best thing you can do is leave them alone for a while, but continue to be nice when you see them, continue to look at them, with acceptance and all that kind of stuff, and just kind of leave the door open, for them. Always be approachable, I guess would be the key there. But um, now, if you're picking favorites and these people aren't doing what is right, sometimes, if you're in a relation, if you're in a specific type of friendship with a person who's not doing something right, you may be able to let them know that what they're doing is not right. Sometimes we're in that position where we can do that. I don't generally find myself in that position very often to rebuke somebody who is doing something wrong.
Hmm.
Because the key there is, if you're going to correct somebody's behavior, or if you see somebody behaving poorly and they need some correction, you need to ask yourself, am I the right person to mention something? Do I have a relationship where they're actually going to listen to me, you know, when I tell them this? You know, Basically, am I in the right place to bring this up? And sometimes it takes some trial and error to figure out where that right place is. But if you're not in the right place to say something at any given time,
Hmm.
about something that somebody's doing that's wrong, one of the best things you can do is just continue to love them, but you don't have to accept the wrong behavior.
Hmm.
You don't have to glorify their wrong behavior, but you can still love them as a person, even though they're behaving poorly. And then eventually, you may build the relationship you have with that person to become that person who can help them work that problem out and help them start to behave properly. So that is a pickle. It can be a
Hmm.
really tough situation. But it's great that you want to be nice to everyone. I applaud you. And I hope that you will never ever ever lose that desire,
Right. Hmm.
because people need to be validated. So many of us are starved for validation and for people to just accept us for who we are, even if our behavior isn't quite right. And you can always accept a person based on their dignity as a person. But every single one of us has some kind of hitch in our behavior.
Hmm.
And, sometimes we don't have it figured out. And we need somebody who has the right relationship, who has a strong enough bond with us to let us know that we're off track in an area. But that relationship needs to come first. And so if you can continue to build that relationship to the point where you're close enough that you can actually say something and just take them aside, definitely don't rebuke somebody in public, like in front of a whole bunch of friends or something.
Right.
That's best done privately, or say, hey, I don't think that's a good idea. Or if they're trying to pressure you into doing something that you know is wrong, then the best thing you can do is love them at a distance for a while. Remove yourself from that situation. I would never encourage someone to compromise their standards or their morals, uh, just to be accepted by a group. Never ever do that, because your standards are there and they're honorable, and don't let somebody make you compromise them. That is not a good relationship at that point. So
Right.
take a step back, still be accepting of them and love them, but definitely you never ever have to validate somebody's poor behavior. So
Mhm.
I hope that's helpful. Ryan, what do you got?
Sure. Based on what Rosie said, she also included that whoever this person is or people are, multiple people, which I mean, I'm sure it is multiple people. Um, they're responding negatively, and it's obvious that they need the help seriously. But uh, it can be scary to try to correct their behavior and that sort of thing. And that's that's definitely true because you can see a lot of times you can see an issue. Um, so I said, dude, I got nervous while streaming today and shut it down because there were over 5 people. Aw, that's all right. You'll figure that out and get over it at some point. Just like you gotta put yourself out there, and then you'll reach your limit, and the next time your limit will be higher. Um, and you'll figure it out eventually. You'll get used
Mhm.
to it. But anyways, um, you know, like Joe said, sometimes you're not the right person to solve the job, but um, sometimes you are. Sometimes you just have to figure it out. How do you get the courage? That's not something that I can give you any advice on, unfortunately. Courage isn't something that I can give you. It's something that you discover yourself. Um, it's an inner conviction. Um, I'll tell you a story that might give you courage. Okay, this is a wonderful story. Well, I say wonderful. It's not a wonderful story. It's a traumatic story. But it's but hopefully it will give you the courage to act up when you know that you should. And the story goes like this. This is a true story. This is a 100% true story. There was a man about 30 years old, and he got off of work, and he always walks home from work, but he decided to take a different route this time. So he took a different route. He was walking home, and it was late at night. It was dark, etc., as it always was. Um, and all of a sudden he hears some rustling in some bushes, and then some muffled screams from a woman who was in distress. And he quickly realized that basically there was a woman being mugged um, in the bush by somebody else. And so at that moment, he froze. He had no idea what to do. He's never taken any martial arts. He didn't have a weapon on him. The other person probably did have a weapon. He didn't know. They probably had a knife or something. And he's like, well, I have no combat training. I'm not a strong person. I'm pretty weak compared to most people. What do I do? But thought, all of those thoughts happened within, less than 1 second. And within that 1 second, for some reason, he decided, I have to do something though, because I could call the cops, right? I could call the cops, but the cops aren't going to show up by the time this is done. It's going to be too late.
Mhm.
We should let the authorities deal with it, but it's going to be too late by the time. And what if this person gets killed and I do nothing about it? What it, because he had that appreciation for the other person's life, he just found himself suddenly running towards the person that was being mugged. Um, and as soon as he started running towards them, he was filled with conviction. As soon as he started, he's like, I'm in this now. I'm in this, this is what I've chosen. I'm gonna probably get beat up, maybe killed. We'll find out, right? And so he runs into the bushes, grabs the back of the person, and pulls them away from the girl. And they just start fist fighting on the ground, punching each other in the face and getting bloody. And then eventually, the person who was trying to mug the lady stood up and ran away. And so the man stood up and he saw the girl was huddled and crying in the corner. Actually, not in the corner, but crying, leaned up against a tree, essentially.
Mm.
Um, and he didn't know what to say to her because, I mean, she just had this experience and he didn't want to scare her. So he said, um, he has run away. You're safe now. And then there was a pause. And then the young lady said, Dad, is that you? And he came to her and he rushed to her and he found out that it was actually his daughter. I think it was 13-year-old daughter.
Whoa.
And he thought about that. He said, if I had not rushed to save this stranger, it would have been my daughter's life, possibly. My daughter would have come home traumatized by this experience, and I had not done anything. Walked the other direction because I was scared. Imagine, imagine. I mean, that would be
Wow.
so terrible. And that's a true story. That is legitimately a true story. And that's amazing. Um, I don't know how to give you courage to do the right thing when you need to, but we are inspired by people who do the right thing at the right time. Uh, we see people who, they're doing something dangerous, but for the right reasons. They're putting themselves on the line. And here's the thing: when you see someone who's in trouble and you know you have the advice to give, or you want to correct them in their behavior and say, "Hey, look, I see you experiencing all these issues, and I want to say it's because you're doing this thing that you know you shouldn't be doing." And that's hard to say to somebody. It's hard. That's so hard, especially now. It's really hard in our current culture to do that.
Hmm.
No one wants to be the guy who's intolerant. No one wants to be the guy who's not accepting of them.
Hmm.
No one wants to be the person that seems like they're hating on the other person because they're different, or they like doing things that we would consider wrong or bad for their
Hmm.
health or whatever. But here's the thing: when you do that, you're putting your reputation on the line. You're putting yourself on the line for being ridiculed by them, ending your relationship with them, having them tell other people, and then all of them calling you a bigot or whatever it is, and all of them hating on you. All of those fears are legitimate. Those are real things that happen. Sometimes people stand up for another person trying to help them, and the other person receives it as, "Oh, you don't accept me. You don't accept who I am. You don't, you know, blah, blah, blah." And then they get hated on and the friendship ends and they feel terrible. Well, that's the same exact story, though. It's someone putting their life on the line, their reputation on the line to help somebody. Even if they get hurt, they're going to do it. And that takes courage. That's an act of courage. And I hope you can find that courage to do that.
Hmm.
Let me tell you, it's okay, because think people are maybe going to think some bad things about you. Yeah, what other people's responses are going to be is tends to be what we fear the most. That's totally understandable. you know but here's the thing: who cares? I mean, if you take yourself so seriously that you can't allow other people to think bad of you, then you'll never be satisfied with who you are, because your opinion in yourself will be based on everybody's opinion in the world, and those aren't things you can control. But I will tell you, if you stand up for what you believe in and you know that you've done the right thing trying to help somebody, and they turn around and attack you, I've done that. And there's a sacrifice there that results in a quick um, sense of being proud of yourself. There was a kid who liked to cause problems in our school, and he was picked on a lot. And I remember one time I came out of the classroom to go to the bathroom, and I saw him being pinned up against the locker by this other kid. And then and as I walked out of the classroom, I started walking towards him, and I yelled at him. I said, "Hey," you know, and the guy was startled. And I mean, I'm not a fighter. This guy's probably stronger than me, but for some reason, he backed off, and he's like, "Hey, look, like, this kid, he breathed in my face, and he did it on purpose just to provoke me, and it's disgusting." And I was like, "Look, you're not doing the right thing. I don't care what Charlie did to you, but like, what right now what you're doing isn't the right thing, and I'm sorry, but that's, I mean, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna punch him? Just walk away." And he did. He did. He was like, "Yeah, I don't want any beef, and whatever. I'll leave it. But dude, it's not my fault." And then, because then Charlie, the person, he got angry at me. he breathed in my face. He went in my face, and I stood there and I just took it, and I was like, whatever. And then he's like, I didn't need your help, and he ran away. He was offended that I tried to help him. He was offended that I put him in a position where it made him look like he was weak. He felt like I was only there to make him look like he was weak and couldn't solve the situation by himself. And then he tried to attack me, and I was like, whatever, I did the right thing. They didn't respond with the right thing after that, but that doesn't mean I did the wrong thing. I did the right thing, and I'm proud of myself for that, and that's not, I can't judge myself and say, oh, maybe I must be a terrible person that they would respond that way. Obviously I'm not. That was a good thing to do, to try to help somebody. Intentions are very important. So anyways, yes, it can be scary about what people think of you. We all have, a lot of us have that desire to make sure everybody likes us, but chasing that is not what life's about. Life is about a whole lot of stuff, but I'll tell you one thing, it's not about making everybody like us, because we have no control over other people's opinions. I tell you what, some people, they just don't like broccoli. As much as I feed it to them and let them know that it's good and healthy and it's great, they just don't like it, and I don't understand why. And that's the same for personalities. Some people just don't like other people. And that's just the way they are. Does that make it okay? No. We should all like each other. We should all come to a point where we accept each other and understand, hey, everybody's valuable, but not everybody's there. You can actually learn to like broccoli, but it's a mental shift. You have to decide, okay, I'm going to try to like this. And then you have to feed it to yourself, even though you hate it, over and over, until your body is actually able to accept it and say, okay, actually, I don't mind this. It's something I put myself through, and I've learned to like things that I used to not like radishes, or Alka-Seltzer. Anyways, it was really long, and I'm sorry, but I hope that helped. And yeah, broccoli is yummy, though. I agree, Rosie. I 100% agree.
Yes. And yeah, don't worry about being self-conscious necessarily, because I think just about all of us are to some degree. I know I struggled with severe self-conscious feelings for years and years and years and years and years and years. And frankly, I feel like I've kind of got it under control now. And the interesting thing is that what it took to get that under control, part of what it took was being ridiculed day after day after day after day after day by people. In my line of work as a property inspector, that's what happens. So like just being yelled at and being attacked verbally, all the time, and just finally dealing with it, and being like, you know what? It's not me these people are upset about. They're upset about their own situation. And each person, I mean, when I was self-conscious, I was always worried about what other people might think of me. But the truth of the matter is, people aren't thinking about me. They're thinking about themselves.
They're thinking about themselves and how they feel.
Yeah, exactly. So like, if they're thinking about me, then, they're probably not going to think about me for very long. And generally speaking, is probably not going to be thinking all that much. And like Ryan has said many times on these streams,
I've never said anything.
Man.
I'm just kidding. I know I talk forever. Go on.
You've got gold nuggets like of wisdom that come out of your
this whole
verbal region. Yes. But and I was going to say something really profound, and now I've totally lost my train of thought. But something Ryan has said many times. Is something really smart.
I'm sorry, I ruined that for you. That's all entirely my fault. See,
man,
I'm I'm not that great, apparently.
It's
And whatever it
gonna come
was,
back. It's gonna come back to me, and it's gonna be really important. It was very, very pertinent to your
was it
situation.
What Matters Most? Is it that one?
No,
Okay.
no, just say some of the things you usually say a lot of
The,
times.
and if. Oh wait, no, I don't usually say that. Um, I think probably the most.
um, Perfect. Well, that's it. And if and I'm sure it'll get said again. So stay tuned.
Mhm. Do you know
It'll be
what the
good.
context was?
It was about other people,
Okay.
and we're being worried about what other people think
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that.
Okay. And stuff like that. Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, don't worry about it. We'll get back to it.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. You'll
Don't
remember it at
worry.
some point, and
Don't
then you'll
worry.
forget again.
It's Wednesday. Actually, it's Friday. So don't freak
Yeah.
out about it.
Yeah. Don't freak out. It's Friday.
It's
We'll
good.
remember it eventually. Maybe next Wednesday. Um, I hope this advice cures all your problems. Come back next time. And that's great. It's exactly my words. Hey, Aunt
Yes.
Leah, welcome. Very nice. Thank you for your situation and putting that out for us to talk about. Um, and Rosie, I'll tell you, don't ever totally okay. Allow people to tell you that you're too nice because people are eventually going to say that to you. People are going to be like, "You're too nice." Awesome. That's the best compliment you can get. If people are saying you're too nice, you're doing it right.
Mm.
There's nothing wrong with people saying that you're too nice. It's a compliment. People will be like, no, I don't mean it as a compliment. I mean, you need to no, and then you're gonna be like, look, I understand what I'm doing. I'm exactly as nice as I mean to be.
Hmm.
Hmm. So anyhow, we also had something earlier today from whom was it? I think it was from Master Lay.
I'm looking back at the top, and I don't think I can look
Unfortunately, I've
far enough.
lost it because too many comments have passed by.
Yeah. So
Um,
if there are any other questions, and Masterly, if you can state your question again from the beginning, that'd be great.
yeah,
Because
don't fail at fertilizing Friday.
uh
That's great. Yeah, yeah, like because I know you had a question, but or a thing that you wanted to talk about, but unfortunately, it's gone. I think it was Master Lay. Gage said Gage had a situation. He said, "I can't find my Xbox One controller. How can I ever be happy again?" Ryan and Joe. That's a great question. The Xbox controller has nothing to do with your happiness. I'll just let you know that. Um,
there was a time when you had no Xbox One controller.
mhm.
There was a
You're
time in
still
your life.
capable of happiness then
Yes.
and
You
thereafter.
were.
And eventually there will come a day where you again. You might find that Xbox One controller, but you might lose it again. And either way, you can be happy. It's you know, happiness is not equivalent to or directly associated with material goods or success, how much money you make, what you do for a living. I mean, all of things can be helpful, but ultimately, happiness relies on a lot of self satisfaction. Are
Hmm.
you satisfied with who you are as a person? Um, and honestly, the more you give away and the less you hold tight to, the less you want out of life. The more thankful you are. A lot of these things end up making you a happier person. So maybe an Xbox controller lacking an Xbox controller can be good for you. But at the same time, maybe your friends are on Xbox, so you have to go back and have fun with them.
Hmm.
Either way, I'm not going to tell you that your Xbox controller is causing you problems, but that just wanted to talk about happiness.
Yes. Well, and really, I've heard it said by some very wise people that the best way to be happy is to give happy.
Mm,
So the more you help other people be happy, the more you help other people feel good about themselves, then the more happy that you can be uh, yourself. So
Hmm.
yes.
Hey, Akil, nice to see you. And also, Trinity, you said that your dad um, and you were visiting the hospital. And so I hope that's everything is going okay with your mom. Um,
But
yeah.
she said, or she, my mom came back from the hospital.
Yeah.
She seems to be doing fine. Just hoping she fully recovers soon. Yes. Our thoughts and prayers will be with you
Hmm.
and your family as well.
So Master Lay got the question out again,
Oh,
which is great. He said this. So the short version is I am having trouble sleeping because of nightmares. These nightmares are honestly just altered memories, traumas from the past. He might have had a continuation, he said.
mhm.
And sadly, I found myself being affected by the lack of sleep and constant remembering of these terrible events from my past, as I am easily touched emotionally. Start being more nervous, offensive. Oh, wait, started being more nervous, offensive. And I think he's going to say more. So yeah, help. Um,
Hmm.
sadly being more nervous and offensive. Okay, got you. Upset, etc. Okay. So yeah, nightmares. Uh-huh. I know some people. Okay, so uh what would you like to say about this, Joe?
Well, there are a few things you can do. I okay. Let's see. So the nervousness, the offensiveness, you're absolutely right. It can be caused both by the memories that are replaying over and over again in your head, along with lack of sleep.
Hmm.
I have personal experience with both, and I know what lack of sleep can do to a person, and I know what having recurring negative thoughts can do to a person as well. And it can really sometimes a recurring negative thought can almost twist you around inside and change who you are as a person and turn you into someone you don't necessarily like. Um, so, man, thank you for the question, Master Lay, and I hope that we're able to help you a little bit. But there are a few things practically that you can do. And once again, uh, we aren't professionals. We don't attempt to pretend to be professionals.
Hmm.
Sometimes if things get bad enough, there's never any shame in seeking a professional. In this case, be a psychologist of some kind. To just kind of talk through some of this kind of stuff because sometimes I, I I wouldn't I wouldn't necessarily always say that medication is the answer, because a lot of times medication is not the answer. Sometimes it's just you need to talk some of this stuff out and have somebody hear it out, and then pinpoint maybe an issue here and there
Hmm.
that you can attack. And
And
sometimes
usually
that.
medication is really designed to help you initiate that and help you calm down so that
Mm,
medication is never the end all be all. I'm just going to be taking this for the rest of my life. That's not. Medication is usually given to you so that you can do a better job at figuring and solving out the problem. But anyways,
mhm.
sorry, continue.
Nope, absolutely. Master Lay has an update in here, for all that matters, what these events are. Seeing my beloved one's suicide, my grandma's final accident before her passing, and a few others following a similar trend. So these are some traumatic events that have happened in your life that you've experienced, whether in person or just, these are things that have happened. You weren't personally there, but you have an you have an image of what that experience was like for those people,
Mhm.
and replaying these over and over again in your head. There are a few things you can do. One thing, depending on where your spiritual life is, you can pray. I know a lot of people who have been greatly helped through fervent prayer in these regards. Many times, something that something traumatic like this, there are hurts inside you. You feel hurt by somebody. You feel hurt by an event. You feel uh I mean these hurts, there's almost like there's somebody or something that's done some damage to you personally. And I think I said this on a previous stream recently, where the the avenue to healing in these regards is forgiveness. Any type of spiritual or emotional healing that takes place generally comes through some form of forgiveness. So you've been hurt by either these events or these people, and sometimes if you can take a step back and say, ah, this hurts so bad, I forgive you for doing this. And sometimes you have to forgive yourself. Sometimes it's you. Sometimes you feel guilty for an event that happened, and sometimes it's nobody's fault, but we still, maybe we blame the universe, or we blame the world, or we blame bad luck, and all these different entities can be forgiven in our minds. And if we can tend toward forgiveness and say, yes, that was a really, really horrible thing that happened, but horrible things happen, and I forgive you, either whether it's a person or luck or that or the universe or whatever, you know, I forgive you. And then, spend some time in that forgiveness, and then you can feel that release happen. Um, so that's one thing you can do, is start to try to tend toward forgiveness. And it's not easy to do always, but I would encourage you to try. Another thing you can do is, if you can get yourself to a relaxed position, whether sitting in a very comfortable chair or laying down someplace, and then close your eyes and take some deep breaths and start to change your mental pictures, where you kind of get yourself very relaxed. I remember hearing it said that if you can picture your feet and your hands as being made of cement, and so you just kind of sink into the chair or the bed or whatever you're sitting or laying on, you feel yourself sink in, and you really relax and breathe deeply. And then at that point, you're a lot closer to your subconscious mind than your conscious mind, and you're able to put vivid pictures, and just, you can pick whatever picture you want. And I would encourage you to picture something positive. Take something, maybe it's a really good memory that actually happened, or maybe it's a really good thing that you really would like to have happen. Either way, your subconscious mind will not know the difference of a real memory or a made up memory that's vividly imagined with all the senses. So if you can get the sense of smell, sight, taste, touch, all those senses involved in this picture that you're creating for yourself while you're in this relaxed state of mind, you can start to change the mental picture in your head, and that might give you some relief, as far as getting some of these negative images out of your head, and maybe it can help you sleep a little bit too. So those are some practical things you can do to try and combat this. I, you're It's such a tough position. I'm so sorry, that you've had to go through such traumatic experiences. Um, and I hope that helps some. So,
Yeah.
man. So, Ryan, do you have anything else that you can add to that?
Yeah, I have a couple of things I'd like to add to that. So my first thing is subtle but important. Um, Watch what you're eating and drinking before you sleep. Um, a lot of people say that they're not affected by caffeine and other such chemicals. If you are drinking energy drinks throughout the day, or drinking things that have a lot of caffeine in them, you might not be affected in the way that it keeps you up at night. but it is often the case that people are affected in their minds regardless. It causes your brain to be hyperactive and can cause a lot of really bad dreams. It's kind of somewhat well known that caffeine can cause you to have um, bad thoughts and dreams just because your mind is running wild. And if you have negativity in your mind will find that place, and then you'll go to sleep with that, and your subconscious mind will be imagining bad things. So if you are um, frequenting something that has a lot of caffeine in it, I would suggest maybe getting off of it for a while and seeing if that makes any difference. Um, that's again, I'm not a professional. That would be my best medical suggestion, physical suggestion rather. Um, but on the other hand, I have something um, different that I'd really like to talk about, and that's this. Um, I can see connection in what your dreams are about. Not only are they traumatizing, but they're about a very particular subject, and that is the subject of death and pain. Um, what do you think about death? What do you think about suffering? These are great questions, and I'll tell you. I'm sure now this won't mean that the dreams will stop, but if you can find a positive a positive look on death, if you can look at death and understand that you said that one of your questions was I don't know, I don't think Joe you touched this. He said, as for prayers, is there any harm in selfishly praying for my own well-being? I mean, I'm certain I've sent God a lot of prayers in the intention of those who passed. So he's done a lot of praying for other people, but is there any harm in praying for yourself? No, I would say no, absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
So the word prayer is actually it comes from another language, and in that language, it ultimately means a request. A lot of people think that prayer is um, worship, and while they do go hand in hand, prayer isn't the ultimate act of worship. Prayer is a request, and you can request things for yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. Obviously, the best thing you can do is request that God's will be done, not your own will be done. I think it's always uh, well to say that. But I'll tell you, if you're religious, God wants you to be happy. You are created for happiness, and He wants you to be happy. So let Him know your thoughts. Let Him know where you're at, what you want, um, and hopefully you can work yourself, and He can help you work through those things together. Because by asking somebody to help you, you're opening up a relationship and you're allowing them to help you. Sometimes someone is capable of helping you, but before you ask, they can do nothing because you're not in a relationship where you're expecting them to help you. And that's the same for religion. You have to pray for yourself and ask for help where you see yourself suffering, where you see yourself not being good enough in certain places in life. And so by asking for help, you're opening that door for a relationship to take fire or to take life and allowing that change to start working on you, because then you start to see into the world, oh, this probably happened so that I can grow here, oh, this probably happened so I can grow here, and you start to see your mind is starting to be opened to those opportunities for change. But if you can turn your ideas of death to something beautiful, because you said that you're a Christian, so in Christian uh, theology, death is not the end. Um, so if you understand that, remember that, think about it for a while to yourself. You can pray about it, whatever, reflect on it, and find yourself in a place where you fully understand that death is okay. In fact, regardless of religion or not, death is something that happens, and you have to come to grips with it.
Mm.
If you can come to grips with death, then these nightmares won't necessarily be nightmares. Now, I will say, of course, it's not okay that they committed suicide. It's not okay that the crash happened or the accident happened or whatever it was that took your grandmother's life. It's not okay. That's not part of God's plan. He didn't want them to suffer like that. He didn't want them to take their own life, blah, blah, blah. That's of course. But if you come to understand that, um, if you take away the fear of death, if you come to a better understanding of suffering and how suffering is not evil, but it's just a part of life and it can do many great things. When we love someone, we suffer for them. That's what sacrifice is. That's what makes our love known. If there was no such thing as suffering, there would be no way to prove that we love anybody,
Mm.
because you could never show them. Courage would not be necessary because there would be nothing to be afraid of. All of the epic stories and amazing stories that we find amazing in life, they wouldn't happen because there would be no suffering. And suffering is an important thing. And so if you can find the positive light in death and the positive light in suffering, even though you might have these dreams still, they won't bother you and they won't be nightmares because you know what comes after. Does that make sense? Um, so if you can take away the fear of death, then there's no sting, to put it in words that are in the scriptures. So, anyways, you said honestly, for me, a Christian, they're they're just in a journey to a better place, or they're already there. Most traumatic thing for me is just the sheer consciousness of not being able to see that person ever again. Um, well, not in this life, right? And that's true. That's true. You might not be able to see them again. You can pray to them. You can talk to them. You can ask, um, etc. But you probably won't see them again. But that doesn't mean you won't see them ever again, right? You won't see them in this life, but there's reassurance there. So if you're able to come to grips with death, if you're able to come to grips with that, you can't see them again, and that is traumatic, and that is scary, and it's not fun, it's not enjoyable. But um, I think that if you can find a way to come to grips with it, see the light in the situation, and have a more positive reflection on it rather than negative, um, then when either the nightmares will just completely stop, or the nightmares won't be so traumatic. That would be my suggestion. Change your perspective on it. You know, someone might call you stupid, but that doesn't mean you have to be offended. Doesn't mean you have to. Doesn't mean that you have to punch them in the face. It doesn't mean you have to stomp away and walk off. You get to decide how you react. You get to decide how you perceive their words. Someone might say, "Hey, your shoes look nice," and you might be like, "You noticed my shoes. I feel, like you're making fun of me." That's all just a matter of perception, because maybe they actually just do like your shoes, or maybe they actually are trying to make fun of you. But either way, it's up to you to decide how you react.
Mhm.
And it's not easy because it takes a lot of um, conscious effort over a period of time before it becomes a habit. But ultimately, yeah, I think some self reflection and figuring out how to come to good grips with these things, put a positive spin on it all, and not allow it to be negative for you, because it's not negative. I mean, sure, the acts in themselves, the pain, the suffering, that's not great. Suicide, I mean, that's definitely not something to be made light of. It's not. It's a painful situation, but now that it is done, right? And it's not happening right now. There's nothing more you can do there. You can grieve, but you've already done that. So now where can you go? Now where can you take it? You know, now what can you say about it? What can you gain from it? I think it's important to always look at what you can gain from it, because there's always something to gain. Um, and so yeah, um, just think about those things, and I would be willing to talk to you for a while about those things and help you through them. But at the same time, I think it's better if you spend some time and come to your own conclusions that are positive. Don't settle until they're positive, because truth in general is positive. And so don't settle into, you found something that's satisfactory. But it's better that you come to your own findings with it, because that's more powerful in your mind. If someone else tells you, hey, this is how it is, blah, 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 it's not as impactful as when you come to your own revelation about the whole thing.
Yes.
Um, so you do your own thoughts, you do your own thinking for a while, and you try to figure out how to light make make light come into the darkness in the situation. And I think that your dreams won't be as terrifying then, because the understanding of death will be different, and the understanding of pain and suffering may be different. And so, yeah, that's all I can say. I
Mhm.
hope I hope that that puts you in the right direction. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, I won't say, hey, it's all okay now. Let's move on. This is Master Lay. As much as I'd love to, but at the very least, I have a thank you. You can be certain I'll try and move on. Perfect.
Yeah, that's that's some great advice, Ryan. Because sometimes it's our whole perspective on a situation
Mm-hmm.
that,
Perspective is everything.
just the way we look at, things, and the way we look at a death. It's really just a transition. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, but sounds to me like you're on the right track, Master Lay. And sometimes
Yeah.
these things just take time
Yep.
to, definitely give yourself room to grieve, because that's totally a natural process. And it's okay to hurt. It's okay to be in pain. It's okay that, um, you know it, it's all a natural part of the whole thing. And if you can find some peace in that situation, and it sounds to me like you are a praying person, um and like Ryan had said before, you had mentioned the thing about praying, and praying for your own well-being, and how that's absolutely a good thing to do. And I heard a guy say one time that prayer is not necessarily our it's not what we do to get our way with God. More it's a way for us to align our will with God's will,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And
Mm-hmm.
so one sure way to always get what you want is to want what God wants.
There you go.
So, and one other thing that I've heard from many theologians is that, one prayer that is always answered. I think this is actually scriptural too. Um, that one prayer that's always answered is a prayer for wisdom.
Mm.
So if you can pray for wisdom in this situation, how do I navigate this? Lord, please give me the wisdom to navigate this situation. You know, like that. It may not come all at once, but it will come, because that's one thing you can count on.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, thank you so much for asking.
Yes. And we wish you the best through it.
Yes, you're yeah, and thanks for being here. My
Mhm.
goodness, you're always such a great contributor to our chats.
Yeah, you really are. Yeah, we appreciate your support that you give everybody. You're awesome.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we've got another question. A new person.
Mm-hmm.
I've not seen Just a Small Kid on our chats
Yeah,
before.
I'm not familiar with the name, so maybe they're new. Maybe not. We'll see.
Yeah, but Just a Small Kid asks, I've recently found myself in a relationship, and I don't know how to act. Every time I talk with the other person, we never know what to say or do. I feel like I'm doing something wrong. This didn't happen before we got together, and I feel like I'm just bringing them down. And then
Mm.
there's more down here. They also talk about other people a lot, and I start to feel like I am not being a good person for them to be with. So sounds to me like there's some insecurity. It's a new relationship,
Mhm.
or maybe it's a long-standing relationship. But there seems to be some uncomfortable uh, aspect to the relationship, and maybe some insecurity there. I, so
Yeah.
Ryan, do you have a way to kick us off on this one?
Sure. The first thing I'd like to say is that's pretty. Um, you're not in your own boat. There's a lot of people that have experienced that. I've experienced that. I think that's pretty normal and common. So don't feel like you're alone here. Um, it's pretty normal for a relationship to, especially when they first start or after it's been a while. Regardless, nobody knows what to say anymore. Um, it could be. It could mean a lot of different things. I'm not there witnessing it with my own eyes. I have no idea what the reason for that is. But I just want to let you know that sometimes it's okay to have nothing to say.
Mm.
In fact, most of the time, it's okay to not have anything to say. It's okay for it to be awkward. That's okay. I mean, it's going to be awkward. Maybe that's doesn't feel great, but that's okay. You know, um, there's not always going to be that emotional spark or thing to talk about or whatever. In a relationship is very real. It's two people together, sometimes a lot, and to a point where you know everything about the person. I mean, if you've been with them long enough, you can know everything about the person. And so it doesn't matter if you have a conversation or not, because it's like, I already know everything that they could tell me right now. It doesn't, so whatever. But that doesn't mean that you've reached the end of the relationship. It's just part of it, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes it's nice to be able to stand in silence with somebody, right? Um, so don't be afraid to be there in silence. Don't be afraid to do that. Another thing is, if they're talking about other people, they're probably just trying to talk to you about their day or about other people. And either they want your opinion, or they just wanted to talk, or they just wanted to get something off their chest, or just say things, you know. So don't be too quick to assume that you're the problem. um, and don't feel bad if you have nothing to say or things feel awkward. That's very normal. um, in relationships, uh, if you've been in this relationship for a while and she starts to seem, or he, I don't know, actually, he or she, the person, you just said person. So if the person starts to feel distant, more distant than they used to be, but you've been in a relationship for a long time, um, it's possible that maybe they don't have that emotional stir anymore. That emotional, see, in relationships, you have love and then you have in love. You fall in love with somebody and you have this emotional desire to be with them all the time. You have this strong emotional urge to know them and to talk to them and be around them, and all of these things, and it all feels wonderful. But remember that it's an emotion. And like all emotions, anger, sadness, fear, like all emotions, it fades with time.
Mhm.
Eventually, that emotion isn't there to guide you anymore. And you have to make the choices to go out of your way to do things for them. You have to make choices to say, hey, oh, wait, I could write a note for them. I don't really feel like it, and that's going to take a long time, and that's going to be boring, and I have no reason to do that. But it would make their day. It would make them feel pretty cool. So let's write a love note. I haven't done that in a while.
Mhm.
Something as silly as that. That's love, though. It takes time and effort, a little bit of sacrifice, something you don't want to do, and that's normal. But it's possible that she's reached the uh, or he, I don't know, the person. I don't know why I want to say she. Okay, anyway, it's possible this person has reached a stage where the emotions are no longer driving them, or maybe the emotions are no longer driving you. That's totally normal. That's totally okay. Um, but it's good to talk about it, because otherwise, the person may get the idea that, oh, since I don't feel that way anymore, I guess that means I don't love them anymore. But you got to remind them that love is not just a feeling;
Mhm.
it's a commitment. It's an love, the best way I can define love is to desire the best for another person. When you want the best for somebody, that means you love them. So if you desire the best for someone and you're willing to do what it takes to give them that, then then you're being loving. You're doing what's right there. And so it's possible that they just don't have anything to say. They have no urge to say anything. They have no urge to be with you. But that doesn't mean that they don't love you. It just means that they don't have a feeling. But like all emotions, that fades. So I don't know what the situation is. Don't let your mind go to the worst possible scenario on you. I think that we're all quick to worry about these things and say, oh no, I've done something wrong, or this is going to be the end of the world. um you know this is
Yeah.
going to be the end of our relationship. It's quick for us to come to those thoughts, but be soft on yourself. It doesn't seem like you've done anything wrong, and maybe you have. Maybe you did something you don't even know about and you didn't notice because you were just being yourself, and that offended her somehow, or him, whatever, the person. It offended the person
I-
somehow. I don't know why. I have no idea why I keep on doing that. Anyways, just ask them then. It does no harm to ask. You just say, "Hey, um, I just want to make sure everything's okay. Like, I didn't do anything wrong, did I? Like recently, I just noticed that we haven't been talking a whole lot, and I'm just making sure that I didn't do anything to hurt you."
Mhm.
Saying that will do wonders. That'll make them go, "Oh wow, they're worried about me. Okay, that's great." You know. So ask those questions. Don't be afraid to ask, because sometimes we get afraid, like, oh, if I ask this question, they're gonna think I doubt them, or something, and then they're not gonna like me anymore, or they're gonna see all of my insecurities, etc. We all have insecurities, and trust me, they'll see them,
Mhm.
and you'll see them, and you'll see theirs. But the beauty in a relationship is that you're there for each other regardless of the issues you have, and you're there to help each other with those issues, right? And you want each other to get over those insecurities, and you're there for them to do that. So, and it's better to let them know what insecurities you have, because then they can help you through them, right?
Mhm.
So it's okay to show them that, hey, I'm a little bit insecure on this subject. I don't know what's going on. I don't know how I don't know what I'm supposed to say. I don't know what I'm supposed to say right now. This is new for me, or whatever. You know, it's okay to talk to them about those things. That's the person you're supposed to talk to about those things. That's the person you're supposed to talk to those. That's the person you're supposed to talk to about those things. There, I said it. I wasn't sure if I
Good job. Good job.
See, I have problems too. I don't know how to speak English sometimes. So anyways, that's my best advice there. I hope that everything works out well for you guys. And if worse comes to worse, you know, relationships, they're hard. They're hard.
Yeah.
And that's okay. You know, just do your best at being your best. That's all you can ever do in the world. And so don't give yourself a hard time about whatever circumstance you're in, or whatever relationship might have failed or succeeded, or the people that like you or don't like you. I mean, all you can do with yourself is do the best at being your best. And sometimes, actually, most of the time, you're going to fail at that. And that's okay too, because you're still valuable and you're still capable of doing tons of stuff with your life. So never give up. Always be awesome. I don't know. Anyways, I'm going to move it to Joe so that he can say something important.
Well, okay.
It better be important, Joe.
I think everything you said was pretty important already.
All right.
Um,
Well, I never said it wasn't. I'm just.
no, it's definitely an interesting situation, because if you're in that position where, like Ryan was talking about, the feeling of love is gone, the puppy love, the in love feeling is gone. Now you're in the point where it gets really meaningful, because you're in that section where love becomes self-sacrificing. which is what love truly is. The greatest form of love
Hmm.
we can show is to sacrifice part of ourselves, or some of our own desires, or some of our own, you know, uh, self worth, whatever it is, you know, for the betterment of another person. And that is love right there. And if you're in a for if you're a male and this was a marriage, that would be your job, would be to lay down your life for your bride, which is basically what that love, that's the ultimate love, is to give your life for that other person, not to that other person, but
Hmm. There's a
for. There is a
yes.
difference.
There's a
Uh,
difference. It's a very big difference.
yes.
Not everything they do is good. You have
Right.
you have to stay strong to hopefully make them the best person they can be.
Exactly. Exactly. Because I know lots of times what I want is not what's best for me.
Hmm.
And so sometimes I need something I don't want. Recently went through this with my son, who got some medicine because he needed antibiotics and they were horrible tasting. So he's like, I can't take these for 10 days. It's like,
They're pretty
I'm
bad, but
sorry. I'm sorry, but you got to. But they're terrible. I know you don't want to take it, but you need to, because that's what's going to make you better. You know, we don't want to create super bugs and stuff like that. So, but anyway, that's kind of beside the point. But it's applicable to that sense of, maybe not always what we want is what we actually need at any given time. It's not necessarily what's best for us. So with that being said, in this situation, what I could encourage you to do is think about your relationship and ask, how much do we think of ourselves in the relationship as
hmm,
opposed to the other person in the relationship? You know, like,
yep.
do I look at this relationship as something that's going to benefit me, and I'm nervous about the outcome of the relationship because I'm worried about how I will feel? Or am I more concerned with that other person in the relationship? And, sometimes we don't always like the answer. Because most of the time when I ask myself questions like that, I come to grips with the fact that I'm selfish.
Hmm.
And I don't like that
Me
because I'm
neither.
like, I know I'm not supposed to be selfish, but it turns out that I am. And I'm like, doggone it, I'm selfish. I need to fix that. And so, but that can really, really help cure any insecurities that you have in the relationship, because if you're feeling insecure in the relationship, there's a really good chance that some of your energy is directed toward yourself when it should be directed toward the other person in the relationship. And that's just a possibility. I'm going to throw it out there because, if you find that that's the case, if you find that, you're being selfish in an area when you could be more selfless, and then you decide to change and become more selfless and think about the other person, you will feel so much better. I can't tell you how amazing that feeling is. We think that we want the feel. We think we want to make ourselves happy. We think that, oh, I need this in order for me to be happy. I need this in order to be satisfied. But the best feeling you're gonna have is when you give up thinking about yourself and put your effort and your energy into doing what's best for another person, into helping another person, into, especially when you're in a close relationship like that, you'll be able to, do something like Ryan said. Maybe it's little, maybe it's just writing a love note. Maybe it's getting them a gift. Maybe it's putting your hand on their shoulder. Maybe it's just saying something nice to them. It could be as simple as encouraging words to them. And that might just breathe life into their spirit. And when you do that and you see that reaction, you will feel better than you have in a long time, because you'll know you did something that then lifted the heart of another person. And that is one of the most incredible, rewarding feelings you can get.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you can take some of that energy, man, I've went through this in my marriage where there's been insecurity and like, oh my gosh, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know, how this is going to all work out. And I'm like, wait a minute. What if I just put myself on the back burner and focus on serving my wife? What if I focus on doing things to help her out? She's got a lot going on her plate. She's got a lot of, concerns. She's all kinds of different things. What can I do to help lift some of that load off of her shoulders and take it from her, so I can help her, you know, in these areas. And when I do that, I feel so much better about myself because I'm not thinking about myself.
Mm-hmm.
I've totally forgotten about myself. It's like, I think it was, man, there was a professional football player who said, when you're winning, nothing hurts. Like, you could be out there injured on the field, and if you're winning, it doesn't hurt because you're not thinking about yourself. And it's the same thing here. If you can focus on the other person and doing something to serve them and lift their spirit, you won't be thinking about yourself. You won't be concerned about any of the heartache that you're having or the pain you're having and all that kind of stuff. You won't be worried about it. It won't
Mm-hmm.
even cross your mind because you'll be focused on the other person. It's crazy, but and our minds are wired the opposite until we actually do it. And
Yeah.
then we realize, oh my goodness, it actually works that way. And if you do it enough, you start getting into the habit, and then you realize, oh, that's what I need to do in order to feel better. I don't need to think about what's going to happen for me to feel better. I need to think about doing something for another person in order to make
Mm-hmm.
myself feel better. And that, it's amazing.
Yeah, our minds are naturally, well, not naturally, but somehow, one way or another, we're, we're given the idea that, I need to make me feel better. So what do I need to do for me? Um, and that's usually how you solve a problem. But a lot of times it's what you can give to others that ends up making you feel good. It's like, because in truth, it's not that I I'm broken and I need to do something to me to fix myself. More realistically, it's like I'm looking at myself negatively and it's not helping me. If I can just stop looking at myself, then I won't feel bad because I'm not looking at myself. But there's also obviously the problem of negativity, which has to be solved as well. But
Mhm.
yeah, if you can't feel bad about yourself if you're not looking at yourself, if you're not thinking about yourself,
Mhm.
and so I mean it's only natural that if that's the case, then helping other people will take you away from your worries, your self consciousness, you know. Um, but also, there's so much reward in giving to others, and also it makes you feel better about who you are when you give. So, um, when you do look at yourself again, you'll feel more strongly convicted that you're a pretty cool guy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And thank you for the question. My goodness. But it's I appreciate you guys so much for coming on and asking. You're putting an issue out on the table that is a challenge for you. And it can take a lot of courage to do that. I know for me it takes a lot of courage to do that because I always feel like I need to be right. Well, not anymore so much. But I used to, that was, one of the biggest challenges I had to overcome was always feeling the need to be right, the need to be the
Mhm.
smartest, the need to be the best, the need, all these different things, you know, and to to take a challenge you're having and to put it in a chat so people can talk about it. That's
Yep.
you guys are incredible.
You guys are
That's
awesome.
wow.
Yeah, seriously. That's amazing.
Yep. So thanks, just a small kid, for your question, and I hope some of what we said can help you. Um,
Hmm.
so we're kind of getting a little bit late in the stream, but
Yeah.
do we
We're
want
gonna
we
we're
did
gonna
just
shut it
get a new
down, but
question.
hopefully we do have a couple of extra questions and we will answer them next Wednesday when it comes. As long as you're here. If you are here, we will take time to answer those questions. So make sure that you do get here, and I'll try to make sure that we write down these questions. Oh, actually, Jesse has already done that. I put one in the forms. Okay. So Jesse will be, I don't know what I just did. Oh, shoot.
You just messed it up. It's okay. I
I
do it all the time.
I accidentally just clicked on master lay and accidentally just put user in timeout, I think, or hide user on this channel. I'm not
No.
sure what I pressed. Or I might have pressed report. Either way, Lay, I am so sorry. Maybe I just deleted your message. I don't know. Actually, I think I just removed your message. I think I just removed your message. Go ahead and, yeah, you said, oh, well, okay. So it looks like you're fine. I think I just deleted your message. I apologize about that.
I report
Anyways,
you. I report
I
you.
report you. Oof. Oof. I regret. Okay. So anyways,
So yes.
good
so,
ending.
so
So now that's over.
Haley, thank you for your question. We see it in there. It's actually posted in our forum now on our
Mhm.
website. I'll give you the I'll post the link to the actual page that it's on here. And
Mhm.
we will address that in our next stream. It'll be on Wednesday probably. And yeah, so thank you for the question. Sorry that it's just getting so late and it's time for us to kind of wrap it up.
Yep.
But
Well, we'll be here next Wednesday at
yep.
7. So we'll see you guys there. Thank you all for joining. Thank you for all of your questions. You guys are amazing for putting them out there. I know it takes a lot of guts and courage to do that, to open yourself up. So we really appreciate that. And yeah, we wish
Yes.
you the best. And hopefully some of our advice helps you today, whether you're the one asking or not. So thanks for being here with us and supporting each other. It's amazing that you guys do that. You guys probably all know that we have a community, and you are free to join Discord or our website, which is bss.studio, which, let's see, HTTP. There we go.
Are you putting the link on there?
There's the
Look
link.
at that.
So
Look at
yeah,
that. Just
you can
look
go
at
to
that.
Oh, just look at it. Just look at it. Don't click on it. Just look at it with your eyes until for some reason it magically opens on its own. No. Anyways, thank you all once again for joining, and we'll see you next time. Any final words? Any final words? Any last words?
He's waiting for the waddles. Rack Attack is waiting for the waddles.
Are
Oh,
you
it's not
still
Waddle Waddle Wednesday. It's Freaky Frickety Frackety Friday or whatever
Yeah.
what it is that you put on
We
there.
flip flopped. So
We
that was
flipped
your
the flippity flopping
yeah.
Friday.
Remember at the
And
beginning, so I don't know if you were there, but we were flip flopped.
hey, somebody said we should do these. Somebody at the beginning said, we should do these on Wednesdays and Fridays.
Right. Yeah, and Fridays, which I'm okay with. It's just a matter of how much time do we have to do it, because it's a great thing that we love to do. We enjoy it every time we get to be here with you guys.
Yeah,
Um,
it's the highlight of my week. I got to
yeah,
tell you, you guys are amazing, and I wish to do it twice in a week
yeah,
would be like great.
that'd be great.
So if we can figure out how to fit that into schedule, that'd be so amazing. There are a lot of other duties that we attend to, but no, if we can make that happen, holy smokes, that'd be so great. And we'd love to see you guys on all of them.
Mm-hmm. And Vimini, yes, 7 p.m. EST, Eastern Standard Time.
Which
So you
actually
can
stands
sort of,
for estimated, like Rack Attack said.
yeah, estimated, because it is super estimated. Sometimes we show up at like 7:30. So just wait around. No, waste your life doing nothing for the next half an hour. It's a good time for reflection if you need. I don't know. But
Well,
anyway,
and hit the bell. Hit the bell on
yes,
the
if you hit the
hit
bell.
subscribe and hit the bell, and then you'll get notified when we go live. And
Yeah. If you
we're
just hit the
totally
bell, you'll be notified every time, and that's nice. You don't have to worry about when are they going to do it, because then it'll be like, hey, they're doing it right now, and you'll be like, oh, sweet.
yeah. And
I'm
there's
busy.
usually a countdown of like 4 minutes. Sometimes Jesse gives us 4 minutes. Sometimes he gives us a minute and a half. Sometimes it counts down from 10 seconds. And then, but then it says, it's amazing. But, oh, again, Jesse V is our illustrious producer. He's making
Thank
sure
you,
that
Jesse.
all of this takes place and happens, and he's just fantastic. I can't tell you how great it is to have him behind the scenes, just kind of making sure everything lines up right. As long as we come on in the right order, our videos line up in the right places, which is
Right.
totally great. Oh, we didn't have a word from our sponsor. What's the word from the sponsor today, Ryan? You are our sponsor.
Sebastian.
Sebastian. Good word.
Yeah. It's a name, but that counts as a word. Comes from late French.
Perfect.
It actually means dynasty in the river, and it has a dual meaning because it actually also comes from Greek, and it means everything Ryan just said is a lie. So please
That's what
stay
that means,
tuned for our next episode, where we'll give you our next word of the day from our sponsor.
And it'll be great. And you guys are awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Sebastian. All right, bye guys.
Bye guys. We love you.
Let's see if just